K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we're expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at advertise@k98talk.org. K98talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98talk.com.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
Wondering why you're up early with us on a Sunday morning making a cocktail? News lately got you drinking? Hung over from the mainstream media by Sunday? We are, and we got you covered.
We sure do. We got your hangover cure for those weekly news blues. So sit back, top off your mimosa, and add some Baileys to that coffee.
Take a match to your copy of the New York Times. Light, funny, and oh yeah, news with booze.
And a lot of laughter.
Welcome to Bloody Marys and Broadsheets.
And good Sunday morning, August 23rd, 2015. And yes, this is Stacy and not JD. JD is on a plane this morning, and I am so lucky and blessed to have our very dear friend, Beaker O'Donovan, in the house this morning. Good morning, Beaker.
Well, good morning, Stacy. How are you?
Now you all know what he sounds like.
I've had people think that they're expecting me to sound like Fraser Crane.
Really?
Yes, it's true.
Yeah, I know you have been called the Fraser Crane of Twitter, so.
Which is.
Yeah, I think that's Jody's nickname for you.
I believe yes. Jody's.
Yes, Jody's nickname for you. Well, Beaker is here with me this morning, and we have had a fun week in the news. We're going to be chatting a little bit about Hillary Clinton and the wagons no longer circling around her as she kind of drowns in this email scandal. We're also going to take a look at the press around Planned Parenthood. You guys, we all see on social media those videos the Center for Medical Progress has put out, and it's amazing the resounding silence in the mainstream media. And then finally, we're going to take a look at Donald Trump. Great article this morning out by Selena Zito, and some really great analysis of the press around him and kind of how we are going to, I guess, take a little review about, free press time and that sort of thing. Right, Beak?
Absolutely. And
absolutely.
We'll cooperate.
Well, but first, as always on Sunday morning, we bring you the weekend update written by our friend Eric Williams over at the barbedwiresatire.com. And this is your weekend update for 8/23/2015. Donald Trump was confronted by a limp-wristed PC reporter at a presser on Wednesday, telling him that his use of the term anchor baby was offensive. Trump clarified his remark by saying, "Look, all I meant is that those kids are a heavy weight and they will drag down the great ship of America down to a watery grave unless we cut them loose."
And this New Jersey woman made that Flowers, her request was simply that they do not vote for Hillary. This is ironic because thanks to voter fraud by the Democrats, since she's dead, she'll be casting a vote for Hillary anyway.
A group of Muslim scholars this week demanded that the Arab world begin taking action against global warming. However, the scholars made no mention of dealing with ISIS. These scholars are obviously so far ahead of the game and have been listening to Obama that they know global warming will destroy ISIS all on its own.
Planned Parenthood held their Maggie Awards event this week, named for the racist founder, Margaret Sanger, to honor their friends in the liberal media. The biggest award of the night went to the big three networks for their non-coverage of those gruesome undercover videos, so the organization can continue to fool low-info Americans into believing they are a desperately needed government agency.
A week after Hillary announced how much she loves Snapchat, leaked documents showed the company lost $100 million over the last year. So staying true to form, anything Hillary touches turns to crap, loses money, and any explanation she gives for her wrongdoing is short-lived and debunked after 10 seconds.
Donald Trump held a campaign rally last night that drew tens of thousands where he laid out his plans for making America great again. Meanwhile, in another part of the country, Hillary bored a small gathering of supporters with a dazzling lecture on the complexity of State Department email classification procedures.
Ooh, exciting. America was disappointed yesterday when the Hillary team announced that she would be interrupting her planned 2-week vacation in the Hamptons to campaign in the Midwest. The entire country rolled its eyes at the news and said, "Can't we even get a little break from this woman? Come on."
An attorney for the Colorado company that kept Hillary's server for the last 2 years says it's highly likely that a full backup of her server exists on another server. Ms. Clinton, who thought she could cover all of her tracks and outsmart all of us, was shocked to learn that she does not, in fact, control all time, space, and digital matter like she thinks she does.
And that is your weekend update for August 23rd, 2015. All right. Thank you, Eric. So, Beaker, what do you want to start with? Your choice. You were nice enough to sit in the chair.
Well, let's see. Since we just ended with a Hillary, I suppose we should just keep on rolling.
Keep on rolling over Hillary?
Yeah, that'll work.
The press is doing a pretty good job of that now, aren't they?
Yeah, no, the traditional allies, not quite there.
Yeah, I think, this all started, the email scandal, if you will, started with a article in the New York Times. What's interesting about that is the New York Times was one of the first media outlets to endorse her in 2008 instead of Barack Obama. So the fact that this story started to break in the Times originally, I thought, was kind of a way to break it with a friend as opposed to a foe. But it seems both the New York Times as well as a longtime ally, of Hillary Clinton, Ron Fournier, are getting increasingly upset with this woman.
The Fournier article was pointed, to say the least. The title read, what was the second? Who's Hillary Clinton to blame now? And the title of it was maybe the dog ate her server, or maybe the dog ate her email. It was Yeah, he pulled no punches for an ally, that's for sure.
Well, and if you look traditionally, since this whole thing started, I mean, there were times in the media where he was almost literally begging her to do something different and begging her to come clean, be more transparent, be open, do the right thing first. And I think when it came down to the FBI having to literally go and get her server, I mean, she didn't turn anything over willingly. I think that's really when it started. The press in general started to be a little bit more, I guess, critical, and even the what has traditionally been the friendly media.
A thought occurred to me, which is always a dangerous thing, but this reminds me, it's almost shades of her husband, because back when the Lewinsky scandal started to break, had he just, no pun intended, come clean and said, yes, we had a relationship. I had a relationship with Monica Lewinsky. I'm sorry. It was inappropriate. I shouldn't have done it. I'm sorry. But instead, he lied. He obfuscated. He perjured himself. He did all kinds of idiotic things that really did not wind up being necessary had he just come forward in the first place and said, you know what, after it was obvious that he was going to get caught, do the right thing, not because it was the right thing, but because continuing to do the wrong thing would just be stupid. And his wife probably could have avoided some of this had she just taken that strategy of, well, maybe now that I'm caught, I can do some damage control by coming clean, or at least to an extent, come clean, and then deal with it from there. But it's the constant blatant lies that people, I think, just start getting irritated and say, all right, I'm done with you. You can't just continue to lie to my face that blatantly and expect me to follow along.
Well, it was actually interesting because you're in very good company. Matt Lewis in the Telegraph this morning said, I can't help thinking that Clinton's a victim of having watched her husband Bill get away with this sort of thing for years, but Hillary lacks Bill's charm and charisma. Rather than coming across like good old boy Bill Bubba Clinton, Hillary's maudlin attempts to spin her way out make her look simultaneously fake and like a screeching grandmother. So you're in pretty good company there as far as the analysis, and sure, but I think honestly what Hillary truly doesn't get is this is not the 1990s anymore. This isn't even really 2008. There are so many other media outlets available, so many more eyes watching everything she says and comparing it to what someone else says, and there really are no gatekeepers anymore. And I think for the entire Clinton crime syndicate, they relied very heavily on those gatekeepers. And it was really interesting because a couple weeks ago, Fournier actually kind of owned that and was openly telling, her, should she choose to read the article, those gatekeepers don't exist anymore. And I think she's really struggling in an environment where the press is not controlled by a few decision makers.
Almost like she's a grandma.
Almost. Well, and not only that, but I mean, take a look at some of the way that her campaign is trying to spin this, right? She didn't think it through. What? A server? I don't know anything about that technology. I mean, right down the line, this whole playing dumb thing. Excuse me, lady, you want to be the leader of the free world. Why are you trying to make us think you're stupid?
Because I'm old and I can't handle it either.
I can't do it. But I mean, and then there was just the outright joy yesterday of them, the campaign trying to explain to us classification procedures. I mean, the whole point is the items on her email were classified at the time, whether they were marked or not. And as she has publicly said, she, as the leader of that agency, was responsible for determining classification. So why are we doing this hamster wheel to try to explain to people how everything she did was right, because we as the American folks just really don't understand the classification of documents?
Well, because our elite betters always know better. Too many betters in that sentence, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Our northern liberal betters.
There we go.
There you go. The ones that told us to take down the flag and stuff.
Well, those two.
There, yeah, definitely. So, I mean, if you're taking a look at how her campaign is spinning this, we now see that Bernie Sanders is beating her in New Hampshire. What, with the press's treatment of her, I mean, at this point, the Dems almost have to find somebody else to run.
It's kind of, it's almost terrifying. We have a criminal or a socialist.
Well, don't forget Martin O'Malley and Jim Webb.
Like I said, they have a socialist or a criminal or Joe Biden, which, maybe
creepy
get
Uncle
Jared
Joe.
Fogle, he'll get Jared Fogle as a running mate, maybe, or something. It's just, And
Well,
although in true Republican fashion, only the Republicans could possibly lose 2016.
that's
They're
true.
facing this, and only them, only the brilliance that is the GOP could screw this up, and they very well may.
Yeah, they're definitely not taking a cue. I think, though, what a lot of the candidates have done and are doing is hitting Hillary pretty hard. I mean, she's not out of this thing, and there's a chance she might not get out of this thing.
It is, back to your point of incompetence, she's almost running on a platform of incompetence at this point, which I find refreshingly truthful, I suppose. But it's kind of funny. She wants to be the leader of a free world who can't handle two mobile devices at the same time, can't read an email header. And her jokes are pretty bad when she's talking about the whole server wiping thing, unless she's trying to take herself a little too seriously. But it's staggering. This is a person who wants to be the most powerful person in the free world and is trying to be sympathetic because she's too stupid to figure out technology. That's just not a ringing endorsement.
No, it's not a ringing endorsement at all. And I mean, we keep going back in the coverage to it was out of convenience or, other things. It's like there's almost different messaging to it every time something new pops up.
Well, she has different accents too.
Yeah,
so.
I know. Did you catch those? Those are awesome.
I've come too far. What the heck? I don't know what that is, but because it's not Southern, that's an insult. But yeah, all these people make my head hurt.
Yeah, well, they give me a little pain in the temple too. But I think when you take a look at the whole field, we're starting to hear rumbles of Bloomberg and Warren and who was the governor in California, Brown. Yeah, Jerry Brown.
You say you got Moonbeam.
Moonbeam.
That's brilliant. And then, oh goodness, Moonbeam, Pocahontas,
And
Disturbing Uncle Joe. I mean, this is a SNL skit, isn't it?
oh, but the season hasn't even started for Saturday Night Live. Can you imagine some of the skits that are going to be on that particular show regarding this whole nightmare? I wonder who they're going to get to play Bernie Sanders. I think JD could do it. You've heard him do the impression on the air.
Yes, that would be excellent.
Mr. Vargas, are you in charge here? I can't even hold a candle to him, but
Even try.
And they were even trying to get Al to run. Did you see that whole draft Gore movement?
Oh, I thought you were saying Al Roker.
No.
Could've,
Al Gore.
You talk about sharding himself in the White House. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we couldn't do this show if it wasn't for Al Gore. He invented the internet.
True. Man, bear, pig for president. That would be
Man, bear, pig for president.
That'd be excellent.
Well, and then they've talked about Kerry too.
Oh, great. So now we're gonna add Frankenstein to the list.
Add Frankenstein.
Excellent.
Yeah. It does a world of good for clips for the show, though, doesn't it?
It does, and can just bask in the diversity of that crowd for a minute. Just bask in the old whiteness of it all. Old male. It's just, yeah.
Yeah. But we have a problem over on the right with diversity, right?
Yeah.
How do and what is amazing to me, though, Beaker, is that whole meme actually works. People on the left actually believe it.
Cognitive dissonance will make their head explode otherwise. They have been saying for so long that the GOP is the party of old white people, that if they actually, it's part of their psyche at this point. If they actually look at it objectively and see that they're not, there's just going to be an explosion of heads across the country.
Yeah.
They can't take it. There's no way they can look at that and without dismissing these people as, oh, that's just they'll use the language of Uncle Tom, which is just hysterical given their if the situation reversed, they go nuts if somebody used Uncle Tom, but they can use that with impunity, I suppose. Or if they're looking at Rubio or Cruz or Fiorina or Carson or Jindal or those old white male party, great.
Yeah. Kind of like the old white guys that were at the Planned Parenthood protest yesterday. But anyway, I digress.
I need the okay, terrific soundbite.
Okay, terrific. And at this point, we're getting ready to go into commercial break. And when we come back, the leftist loons and Planned Parenthood coverage.
I survived a segment.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
Up the sound and rip off the knobs. You're listening to K98Talk.com, the leader in Internet radio.
Are you conservative in a world of liberal?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not alone. Hey, I'm Daniel Stafford, host of the Stafford Voice, and I'd like to invite you to tune in each Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern, where I'll break down the events of the week, and together we'll learn about how they affect you. So, sit back and get ready for the good, the bad, and the ugly of talk radio right here on K98 Talk.
Our military service members volunteer to protect us in the most dangerous places around the world. They step up. And when they are severely ill or injured, returning to their families is only the beginning of their long road home. Beyond all the hospitals and doctors and surgeries they need just to survive, they also deserve whatever they need to truly live. All the in-home care and day-to-day help they need to live independently, on their own terms. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs were established to provide these brave men and women whatever they need to continue their fight for independence, at no cost, for life. So many of them need us, and it's time for a grateful nation to step up. Find out how you can do your part at findwwp.org.
And welcome back to your easy Sunday morning. I'm here. This is Stacy, and today I have Beaker with me. Yay, Beaker. This is the ultimate in audience participation. And, you know, between JD and I being absent, just about everybody in chat might get a turn.
We'll set up a rotation.
We'll set up a rotation for our co-hosts. And if you like what you hear this morning, we are always on at 11 a.m. on Sunday, and then JD will be back Tuesday at 10 p.m. for Game On, and again on Thursday at 9, so please join us for both of those as well. Beaker, Planned Parenthood.
I love that name. I just want to go out and say that that's just such a great name and has nothing to do with what they do.
It's the ultimate euphemism.
Or euthanasia or something.
Yeah, something. So, as many of you saw this week, Center for Medical Progress has released their 7th video and a portion of the 8th. They actually were fighting an injunction in the state of California, and much to everybody's surprise, including mine, the judge actually ruled in favor of Center for Medical Progress in allowing the 8th video to be released, despite the fact that it contains video with the CEO of STEM Express. With that, and probably I would say, Beaker, as far as information, I would say that the 7th video was probably the most disturbing for me personally.
Which is saying something.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, how you think that after Crunchy, where are you going to go from there? But yeah, and actually, I think we talked about that just going back and forth on an open thread. That I thought that the videos would only get more disturbing, and then you had mentioned that how is that even possible? That if this group has been, I don't want to say planning it for a year, but they've been investigating for quite a long time, and they're telling a story. And generally, in a story, you're going to build to a climax, and you'd think that they peaked early because these are just so damn disturbing. But the disturbing level just keeps on growing. So I can't help but think that the worst is yet to come, and I don't really want to think about how it's going to get worse. It would make Mengele is sitting there going in the afterlife going, these are some sick bastards.
Yeah, I mean, you have Planned Parenthood who never denounced Gosnell. You have their CEO who blocked me on Twitter because I told her to delete her account. That was awesome. But anyway, literally right after I saw that video, I said, well, what you going to say now, lady? The way that they're trying to spin this, Planned Parenthood is trying to play the victim. They were the victim of these awful, awful, terrible people from the Center for Medical Progress. They're not even attacking the message anymore. They're actually attacking the messenger.
Yes, because they were dishonest in how they approached them, you see. So they're victims.
Well, and the Democrats have actually opened an investigation not into Planned Parenthood in Congress, but into the Center for Medical Progress. This whole idea, number one, this whole idea of attacking the messenger. And for those of you who missed it the other night, the young woman who is in these videos, Holly O'Donnell, I believe is her name. She's a former tech with STEM Express. She was a phlebotomist. She did not realize upon being hired some of the things she was going to be asked to do, and has been very, very, very open in her interviews with the Center for Medical Progress. Well, there is a lovely organization out there called realitycheck.org who totally miscalculated on Friday. Basically, they started attacking Miss O'Donnell and her sexuality. They started attacking her lifestyle. They started attacking things about her personally, thinking that as a bunch of conservatives, we would somehow discredit her because she may have some alternative sexual preferences. I think they miscalculated huge.
Just a wee bit.
Yeah, we didn't kick Caitlyn Jenner out of the party.
Okay, terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm thinking about.
Oh, I didn't know Rick had that.
Excellent.
Excellent. But honestly, Reality Check, they had to take it down. They had to take it down because who is one of Planned Parenthood's largest constituencies?
Tap and shot thoughtfully.
Could it be the LGBTQ community?
Why, yes.
Why, yes, it is. So they go blast this girl for her sexuality with all of that support. They actually, I guess, if you read the editor's retraction of that article, and I have to say, for those of you who know us on social media, Pastor Frisbee, Polita Bunny, and I had quite a fun time with how things get discredited on Friday. Pretty pretty interesting.
That was-
In terms of that was one of our funnier threads, things about green Jello and stuff. But when you take a look at the retraction, it looks like there was a serious brawl in the editorial room of realitycheck.org.
Unfortunately, and they took down that article, and then I read the retraction, and then I was looking at some of the editor's comments, and I'd copied one of them, and I'll read it for the listening audience. All fetuses, in caps, of course, grossly maim and often murder millions of women. I know many women gruesomely shredded by fetuses. You forced birthers are the biggest murderers of already born children. Yeah, let that sink in for a little bit, boys. just bask in the stupid Jesus, I can't even talk. That was so stupid. That's just crazy. And yeah. Leave that there.
Well, and the way they tried to spin it in the editor's statement was that they were attacking Miss O'Donnell because she wanted free sexual expression, but she was trying to take away the ability for others to have free sexual expression, because people can't be free to express themselves sexually if Planned Parenthood is no longer federally funded. I mean, it was just like the most ridiculous spin I have ever seen. This woman is sitting in a chair and talking about horrific, horrific things that she experienced firsthand on a daily basis while she worked for this organization, talking about the character and the nature of the people that she interacted with, not making a comment on whether anybody walking in and out of that facility is right or wrong.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the concept of Planned Parenthood being the paragon of sexual freedom.
Well, we can't be sexually free if we take away their federal funding was basically what that retraction said. It was crazy. But, even further to that, we have a great organization over here on the right, the Media Research Center. It's run by Brett Bozell, along with Tim Graham and Dan Gaynor and a few other fine folks. And their Newsbusters organization actually went back and looked at how the mainstream media is covering these Planned Parenthood videos. As of July 21st, the 3 national broadcast television news programs devoted exactly 9 minutes and 11 seconds to coverage of the Planned Parenthood scandal.
Which is probably 7 minutes more than they dedicated to Gosnell.
Probably. ABC gave it a whole 46 seconds. I mean, when you are talking about something that is so, since the first video, I have sat there and watched and literally just some kind of shattering in my psyche, right? These people are disgusting. They're sick. And when you get into their deceptive accounting practices, so you understand if a woman goes in for an abortion, she gets her blood drawn, she gets certain medical procedures before it happens, and she gets certain medical procedures after it happens. Everything but the extraction itself is billed as a medical service, which is where they come up with that BS 3% number. And the fact that meme is still out there, only 3% of their income comes from abortion, is such a blatant lie. And it's only people like the Federalist, Free Beacon, that are actually breaking that down.
Yeah, medical accounting is an interesting animal in and of itself. There are codes for everything. So if they're going to, if someone's going to go in and do, let's say, a shoulder reconstruction, there's going to be, the anesthesiology is going to be billed out under one thing, and the appliance is going to be billed out under another thing. Durable medical equipment used during the process will be billed out as another thing. Blood products would be billed out as another item. The medications used would be under another item, and then there's the actual surgery that will, now obviously that's going to be one of the larger chunks, although the anesthesiologist bill on that would be pretty high too. there's a whole lot of money there that's not being accounted for if you're just going to say that it's intellectually dishonest would be the nice way to say that.
I think I like criminal. I mean, the whole point is there is a federal statute that says federal tax dollars are not to be used to support the service of abortion, and they do that by dishonest accounting. I mean, flat out dishonest accounting. And now they're trying to convince us that they only take back, their costs when they're donating to, fetal remains to research. And I'm sorry, what I saw was a price negotiation in these videos. You don't negotiate your fixed costs. You either know what they are or you don't. When I
talk about Lamborghinis,
yeah.
If you're talking about fixed costs.
Well, the upside to all of this is we do have a conservative media that is not letting this go. And, really the production of these videos spawned yesterday, Beaker, nationwide protests in 330 cities. So despite the mainstream media silence, the information is still getting out there. Again, I think it almost goes back to that gatekeeper concept with Hillary Clinton. You can't keep a lid on that kind of horror. You just can't.
Although interesting, if you would think if there were that many protests for, let's just say, a Black Lives Matter event, that's all we would see in the media. It would be 24/7 of clips from another protest.
Yep.
There was no bias or anything.
It was actually kind of interesting, the one I was at. The local news showed up as the group was breaking up, but they had been there earlier. One of the news folks had been. The only people they talked to?
Let me guess.
The 3 idiots who were there supporting Planned Parenthood, who also sat there and talked to us about how the Holocaust never happened. Because somebody mentioned Mengele, So, yeah. So we have 3 geniuses there fighting the good fight, and they actually got screen time, but nobody actually talked to anyone who was there organizing the protest. We had Alveda King there, for goodness sake. No mention of that anywhere.
It's almost like there's an agenda.
You think?
Call me crazy. Call me crazy.
Call you crazy. But I would say the agenda isn't working as well as maybe it did 10 years ago. Even 5 years ago.
The gatekeeper is not being quite up to the gatekeeping task anymore, yes.
Yeah, they can't really close the gate on something like that, and I think that's a good thing.
Who made the comment, and this is going way back to the media who's sitting in basements in their pajamas and then kind of giving rise to the whole PJ media. But which establishment reporter had made that remark in a moment of frustration? Anybody in the chat room? Anybody? Bueller? Anybody?
Bueller? Who called all of our bloggers guys in pajama bottoms in their basement? I don't remember, but I remember the comment.
There's a lot of people in pajamas these days.
Yeah, a lot of people in pajamas. But, even some of the liberal media, or more liberal folks in media, are at least coming out with some truisms, right? So if you look at Kirsten Powers, who I eventually think will become a conservative, she says it doesn't matter whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, these videos are horrific. And she's one of the few people on the left with the courage to say that. I think the media and some of the other folks, it was Chris Matthews, Lou Bell says. Chris Matthews called them pajama boys. But
thank you, Lou.
Thank you, Lou. We love you, Lou. But if you take it, I almost think the media, the mainstream media, could make themselves a little bit more credible if they would at least acknowledge the horrific nature of what we're seeing.
They've jumped that shark long ago. I don't think they can. Is there an you can't unjump a shark meme? But they're in bed so deep with this now. I don't think they can get out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and I'm really not looking forward to videos 8 through 12.
I'm gonna eat first.
Yeah, no, that last one was just.
And it irritates me that this then winds up coming. When the supporters try to make this a religious argument,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not a religious argument. It's a moral argument, and then I have to get into the discussion of you don't have to have religious faith to have morals. Actually, one of my a dear friend who's probably from a moral standpoint is just his compass points due north. He's just a very, very solid guy, and if I were in a jam, I would trust him to help me out implicitly, and I don't say that easily of too many people. But he's an atheist. He does not require. That's idiotic to assume that you need that only morality and religiousness are synonymous. They're not.
Well, and there was actually a speaker at the rally yesterday that said if you are pro-life, you need to get away from the religious arguments. That there's a better way to argue the issue, and it really has to do with science, has to do with responsibility, and it has to do with prevention. It's a group called Pro-Life Training, and they do have a website, prolifetraining.com, and they really talked about how to win the argument. Because, one of the guests we've had on the past, Charles C.W. Cook, is also an atheist. And he says, but I'm a conservative. So part of being conservative is you are pro-life. You can't have liberty without life. And that, that's how he gets there. But I learned a long time ago, I may have my own grounded faith in certain things, but when you're talking to people and trying to convince them using your faith to try to beat them over the head with what you call morality doesn't work.
My faith is relevant to me and me only. It's irrelevant when I'm talking to anybody else about anything else because it's mine. That's one of the things that winds up disappointing me sometimes about some libertarians is that they don't recognize that you cannot have liberty without life. Although it's interestingly enough, most of the libertarians that I wind up talking to, not only on Twitter but even in real life.
You know a libertarian?
A few. I know a few. I actually went to.
That's like having a pet unicorn.
It is. I actually went to a Gary Johnson rally once.
Yeah. Well, I was told I could not possibly be a libertarian because I'm pro-life, so I had that argument a couple days ago.
See, you can't have liberty unless you're alive. So I'm going to have to. I don't understand their argument, and I would think that from a consistency standpoint that a pro-life argument would be the stronger one, but that's one of the, and I know that's a stumbling block for a lot of conservatives that would say, hey, I'd be libertarian in a heartbeat if they just go pro-life, and then again, there's generally not a consensus in any party on that many subjects, but it would be. I would be certainly happy to see more libertarians come out and use the argument that you can't have life without liberty, and then their liberty.
Well, we're lucky because we have some
stand up for that. But
we have some great pro-life libertarians on social media. Galt's Girl, Heather Boulware. Several of them are very, 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 very much pro-life, and they do it in the context of their political beliefs, and it's great. But we are a little bit late coming out to break, so we're going to go take a few minutes, and Beaker and I will be back in just about 3.
You have found the best place on the internet by tuning into K98Talk.com, where it is our mission to broadcast the very best variety programming, giving you a balance of information from every angle and letting you decide. We are here to serve our listening audience with a proven track record. So stay with K98Talk.com and we will keep you informed.
Red Nation Rising brings you Town Hall Radio.
From a single tweet to 3 million a month, our community is a force to be reckoned with on social media.
So don't miss our show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Our chat room is our co-host, and you ask the question.
Join us and be heard.
So get ready to sound off on Red Nation Rising Radio. No one else is going to do it for you.
The staff of K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network is proud to announce that our very own Rowdy Rick Robinson has been selected as one of the top conservative talk show hosts in the nation for his program America Off the Rail. Again, congratulations to Rowdy Rick Robinson for a job well done and another reason to stay connected to K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
And we are back. Welcome back. Our last topic this morning is going to be the media and Donald Trump.
Okay, terrific.
Yeah, kind of interesting. First, did you have a chance to read Selena Zito's article this morning?
It's finally loaded.
It's finally loaded.
My computers are a little archaic.
Well, Selena Zito is probably one of my favorite political writers. I cannot tell whether she's a conservative or a liberal. She's very fair and balanced, and she's been analyzing both races, the races for the Dems as well as for the Republicans. She talks about Trump a lot in the context of populism and what he is appealing to. And she, takes it back to the Goldwater era quite well. And she talks about how the media at first dismissed Trump and how that actually fueled his anger and fueled some of her support. But the thing that I didn't realize when we get down to the end of the article is that he peaked in the RCP average at 24.3 and has actually slipped back to 22. She's saying we've seen peak Trump. What do you think? Did I just lose Beaker?
I don't think so. Hang on. Actually, I think we might have.
Okay, terrific. Hang on. Let me see if I can get Beaker back. And we'll talk a little bit more about Donald Trump. So basically what Selena is saying in this article is we have seen him peak in the polls, but that there isn't a candidate taking up the mantle of trying to win over his coalition. Beaker, do we have you back?
Beaker back.
Maybe? Beaker?
Yes. Apparently so.
Awesome. He's back.
The gods of technology have smiled on me once again.
There we go. So back to Selena is basically saying in the article, based on the RCP average, which seems to be declining for Donald Trump, that we've seen peak Trump. What do you think?
From her keyboard to God's ears. But I'm a little dubious that we've seen peak Trump just because this is a self-sustaining cycle. Trump goes on media gets higher ratings, media keeps pushing Trump to get higher ratings. Doesn't matter that he's a buffoon and a jackass and has flip-flopped so many times that he made John Kerry look stable. But it's a perpetual motion machine. So I although I hope she's right and I can see her point, I am not going to hold my breath.
Well, but the other point she makes is nobody is trying to capture the hearts and minds of those people that Trump has attracted at this point. Now, if you take a look at the polling, right, something upwards of 60% of Republican voters have said they will never vote for Trump. I think if we had a winnowed down primary, he might not be leading, number one. And I think the conservative vote, because if you look at the RCP average over time, the only candidates that Donald Trump, the anti-establishment candidate, took from any other candidate, were Jeb Bush and a little bit of Scott Walker.
So he's the anti-establishment candidate who's gaining ground off of the supporters of establishment candidates.
Yeah. Now, I don't view Walker necessarily as establishment. He's a governor, so he's
I didn't mean to insinuate that with Walker.
But the lion's share of Trump's support, if you look at the graph, has come out of Jeb Bush.
Kind of puts a hurting on the whole anti-establishment bit.
Yeah, I kind of put that out there too. But I think the conservative vote is being split among so many other people that what he has consolidated is actually the people for whom immigration is a number one priority.
It would be difficult, and again, I'm not going to hold my breath because every time I think that I've seen the max level of stupid, then something like cuck comes out. So
right.
I just don't know, but it would be hard to maintain when you have so many negatives. It gets it gets diluted in a large candidate pool. So yeah, I've got a really high unfavorability rating, but there's so many people around, it doesn't much matter. But you are correct. Once that field narrows, the pressure of that much negativity is going to have to build. Now, whether he can ride that out or not and convert, I doubt it. God, I hope not. But again, I'm not gonna hold my breath.
Well, pretty interesting article from a mainstream news source, NBC of all places, says Donald Trump's surge in the Republican primary is being helped by an unlikely ally, the press. With 16 Republican candidates running for president, most contenders are struggling to get media coverage, which helps make them better known to voters and spread their message. This hasn't been a problem for Trump. Data provided by Google to the journalism site 538 found that 46% of the media coverage over the last month about the GOP candidates was about Trump, as measured by articles that appeared in Google News. That's compared to 13% of articles about Jeb Bush, who got the second most attention. So you're talking about 46% of press coverage and articles going to Trump, and we have 16 candidates. So, 54 is being split among 15?
It kind of goes back to my self-sustaining theory, and it's a Kardashian effect. The Kardashians are in the news because the news talks about the Kardashians, which drives more stupid stuff from the Kardashians, which creates more news, which on and on and on. And Trump is
Trump is the Kardashian candidate.
In this scenario, yeah. I mean, it used to be instead of a Kardashian president, now we have a Kardashian candidate, but it's a self-sustaining cycle, which it makes my head hurt. But I would think you're right that once his field narrows down, his negatives will build up and this will dissipate to an extent. But if it leads, it bleeds. Trump is entertainment. There are some things about Trump I think the GOP could learn from and do quite well with.
Absolutely.
But the GOP as an establishment seems far too stupid to do so. And so they're going to make an enemy of Trump, which isn't smart, instead of learning from him, which is a shame, really. And he's going to wind up being, if he doesn't get the nod, he's going to be a kingmaker one way or another, which is do you really want to be indebted to Donald Trump? And it's either a Republican is or a Democrat is when it comes down to it, because he's going to wind up controlling he'll have a 5 or 10% block that are just loyal to him.
Absolutely.
And if he does not get, assuming he does not get the nod, which again I would hope that he does not, he is going to be in a position to be a kingmaker, and people are going to owe him. Well,
they're going to owe him if he doesn't run a third party.
Right, and I'm sorry, that would be the way he would be. A Republican would wind up owing him because it's basically just by not running as an independent.
Right. And I hope somebody around him is smart enough to tell him that's not a winnable situation. I mean, if you look at the polling again, he gets beat by Hillary and Bernie Sanders in key swing states. His unfavorables are still higher than Hillary's. It's just a very strange year with this wave of support in such a large field. But if you look at the mainstream media and how they've been covering him, Chuck Todd gets record ratings when he's on Meet the Press. Now, Chuck Todd sucks, but, seriously, record viewership. The debates, record viewership. Now, do I think people tuned in to see true policy debate and articulation of positions? No, I think they turned in to see a circus.
Are you not entertained?
Huh?
Are you not entertained?
Exactly. That he is entertainment, but it would almost seem, basically that they're taking this guy who has a boatload of money and giving him a ton of free press. The other candidates literally can't get air in the room. And, to me, the shame of this is we have a deep bench. We probably have the biggest number of truly qualified candidates running this year than we've had in decades, right? We grew the bench in the years that we were not in the White House. And, kind of back to what you said earlier, is what we call a callback, right? Only the GOP could screw this up running against what they're running on the left.
And point of coverage, I would bet that D's nuts is getting more airtime.
Everybody asks me, and I say, yes, folks, I do. If Donald Trump is the nominee and he is running against Hillary, I am voting for Vermin Supreme and moving to Belize. Well, Beaker, that was a pretty quick hour.
It was indeed.
It was indeed. I am so glad you sat in this morning, and thank you so very, very, very much.
Thank you. An honor and a privilege.
All right. And anything Rick, anything you want to talk about or going to be up to this week that you want people to watch out for?
I'm a very low profile Twitter person, so I just make obnoxious comments and have no life outside of trying to dismantle chaos in my home on a daily basis.
All right. Well, you keep Chaos 1 and Chaos 2 and take good care of those adorable little girls that DM me. And we will see you on the Twitters. And I am working on several very interesting things, new candidates, new issues, and we will be seeing those out there on social media. And again, Beaker, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
If it's Sunday, it's Bloody Marys and Broadsheets.
We're your cure from your weekly news hangover.
Thank you for taking it easy with us. You can find our show account on Twitter or send us your interesting news story of the week to Game On War. That's WAAR @gmail.com.
And you can find me on Twitter @ScottsFire and on Facebook @Stacey Lennox.
And you can find me on the Twitters @GameOnJD.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Giggity, 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 let's have sex.